OpenClaw is impressive and is probably the best way to create your personal AI assistant. And with the announcement that OpenAI is now supporting this platform, you definitely don't want to miss out. I've already covered OpenClaw in a previous video, but in a nutshell, it allows you to spin up your own AI assistant either on your local machine or on a virtual private server. And I must say, after using this on a daily basis for the last couple of weeks, one feature that stands out to me is the persistent memory. This agent really learns from your preferences. I can clear the conversation, and the agent will still understand my preferences when I ask it to write reports or generate images. It just knows my workflow by now. My assistant can go online and perform deep research every morning and spit out a detailed report for me. I've asked my agent to go online at 8 a.m. every morning, and it needs to scrape any data related to agentic coding, vibe coding, Claude Code Cursor, or anything related to my niche, and it gives me the top stories that might be relevant to my channel. I can even ask my assistant to help with content creation, like generating thumbnails. So I could just say something like, please create a thumbnail for a YouTube video where I show people how they can back up their OpenClaw instances. And maybe what I can do is just sort of grab the logo and the font, and I'll pass it to the assistant as well. I've attached the logo for OpenClaw. Please use this in the thumbnail as well. And this assistant is actually doing a bunch of cool stuff behind the scenes. Throughout my conversations with it, it generated thumbnails in the past, and I would tell it that I actually don't like this style, or I actually prefer this specific thumbnail style. And every time I do that, the assistant sort of makes a note about my preferences. Now, in this instance, I didn't tell the agent to include an image of myself, right? I simply said I want a thumbnail, and I did give it the logo. And then looking at the result, so it's got an image of myself, the actual logo for OpenClaw, along with some text. And this is all because of its memories and sort of my preferences. And this is one simple example of where the memories and preferences are used. Now, the scary thing is, what happens if my server dies or something happens to my agent? So let's say it gets corrupt or my server gets deleted. I don't know, anything can happen. How do I get my agent back? So I found a really cool solution for backing up my entire assistant to a GitHub repository. And this happens automatically every day. So here we can see a gallery, which includes all of my thumbnails or images generated by Luna. So there's all the thumbnails and the references. So all the YouTube assets. Like every time I send the logo, it will actually store that logo somewhere in this folder as well. So in the future, if I ask it to generate a thumbnail for a Claude Code video, the agent will know that it needs to look in the references folder or the assets folder to actually grab that logo. And then we have all of these critical files like the agent.md, the heartbeat, identity, memory, soul, tools, user. All of these files build up that knowledge about yourself and your preferences and who you are. Things like the cron jobs, like how often it should run these jobs and collect information. All of that is stored in these different files. And if you lose that, you effectively lose everything you've trained your assistant on. So we'll go through the setup process again, because since that video was released, this framework was renamed from ClaudeBot to MoltBot to OpenClaw. So I think let's just do a bit of a refresh on setting all of this up, and then I'll show you how you can automatically back up your agent to a GitHub repository. So if the agent ever had to die on us, all we have to do is ask the agent to simply clone all of its memories from this repository. Alright, first things first, let's have a look at setting up OpenClaw. If you just want to have a look at the backup session, you can definitely skip ahead in the video. You can definitely set up OpenClaw on your own machine, but for security reasons, I wouldn't recommend that. I think it's way safer to run OpenClaw on a VPS. So you can use AWS, whatever you want, it really doesn't matter. I think the easiest way to get started is to use Hostinger. So I'll link to this page down in the description, but really all you have to do is select a server like KVM1 or even KVM2, whatever you want. I'll just go with KVM2. Then you can select your term. I'll just go with 24 months. And I'll go with 24 months because honestly, I can use these VPSs for pretty much anything. I'll run N8N and Flowise and OpenClaw, whatever, on the same server. You can definitely use it for so many different things. Then at the bottom, go to plain OSS, select Ubuntu, and just click on confirm. And under the coupon code, if you enter the code Leon, you will get 10% off. So simply click on apply and continue with the checkout process. On this screen, be sure to enter a root password and please save that password in a safe place. You will need it going forward. I'm also going to select Docker Manager and let's click on Finish Setup. And awesome, let's go to Manage VPS. Then let's go to the terminal. And in the OpenClaw documentation, what we can do is change this from Windows, Mac OS or Linux, and we can copy this command. Then back in this terminal window, let's paste in that command like so. Let's press enter, and this will start the OpenClaw installer. I understand this is powerful and inherently risky. Continue. Let's say yes. Let's go with quick start. And now we can select from a wide range of providers. I'll just go with Anthropic. I'm going to use my Claude subscription. Now I just have to paste in that setup token. So to do that, I can just run Claude setup token. Then I'll simply copy and paste that token. I'll leave the token name as default. And for the model, I'll select Claude Opus 4.6. Now we can hook it up to any channel we want. I'll just go with Telegram as I think it's the easiest solution. Now we have to provide our Telegram API key. So in Telegram, I'll just open up Botfather. And by the way, in the previous video, I go into a lot more detail on setting up Telegram step by step. So if I'm losing you at this point, simply have a look at that video and then you can come back. But this is really simple. We're just going to use Botfather within Telegram to create a new bot. So we can run the command, new bot. Then let's call this OpenClaw, YouTube. That name seems to be taken. So let's just call it something like this then. Cool, we've got our bot. So let's copy this key. Let's paste it into this. Let's press enter. Right, cool. So I'm not going to go through setting up skills and all of that, as we do just want to focus on the actual backups. But of course, if you want to dive into doing all of this, like setting up skills, check out that other video. So I'm just going to say no to setting up skills. Then for hooks, I'll just install all of these. All right, then how do you want to hatch your bot? Let's just select the very first option, which is the recommended option. Right, so now OpenClaw is asking us a few questions like, what should I call you? I'll just say Leon, nice to meet you. And I'll just say your name is Luna. And what time zone? I'll just say GMT +2. And just keep the conversations casual. Right, so at this point, we can actually continue the setup in Telegram. So if I send a message to that bot, I'll get this message. So I'm just going to grab this. Please set up Telegram. Then it's paste in all of that. Then I'm just going to delete that message so I don't have to keep censoring it. And let's say, hey, you can see OpenClaw is typing. And look at that. So our assistant is now integrated into Telegram. And we can start to ask it to do cool stuff for us. Now, we're not going to dive into any of those details, but let's see how we can actually back the system up. All right, so what we want to do now is get our agent to automatically update itself and then push those changes to GitHub. That way, if something happens to the server, we can recover our agent. So there's actually two ways that we can do this. I've asked my very own agent to formulate a prompt that we can give to our assistants to recreate this behavior. So I'll actually link to this prompt in my community and I'll link to it in the description of this video. But I also want to show you that we can get the agent to just simply figure this out itself. Right, so I need your assistance with something. I know that you learn from my preferences and will, from time to time will ask you to remember details like a backlog or whatever, maybe preferences about myself, or I might ask you to generate images and store them on the file system. My concern is that if something had to happen to you or your server, I would lose all of the preferences that you've built up and all of your memories that you've built up till now. My thinking is to make a daily backup to GitHub. Would you be able to assist with this? All right, then let's simply send that. All right, so that's a really smart idea. Yeah, your whole workspace is basically my brain. If this server goes poof, so does everything I've learned about you. A daily GitHub backup is a solid insurance. Let me check what we're working with first. This workspace already has Git, so this agent is fully aware of any changes made to its workspace throughout the day. So it's easy for it to just say, well, here are the differences. Let's push those to GitHub. Right, so it's got its GitHub repository. There's no commits yet, which is perfectly fine. So what we need is the private repo on GitHub, something like OpenClaw Workspace, or whatever you want to call it. Give me a GitHub personal access token. All right, so let's walk through step 1 first. The first thing we need to do is create a Git repository. So go to github.com and then sign up for an account. Or if you already have an account, let's just simply create a new repository. Let's give it a name. I'll just call it OpenClaw Backup Tutorial. Or you could just give it the name of your agent. It doesn't matter. I'll make this a public repository. And that's it. Let's create this repo. I'm going to copy the URL to this repo. The repo URL is, and let's just paste in that URL. And as for the GitHub personal access token, how do I create that token on this repository for you? In fact, this is actually not the correct approach. So what we want to ask instead is, let's use an SSH deploy key instead. What I'm worried about is this solution over here will most likely actually potentially give the agent access to way more repos than it should have access to. All right, so our agent says even better, more secure too. Here's what we'll do. Here's the public key. To add it as a deploy key, go to your repo, settings, and deploy keys. So let me just actually copy this. So in our repo, we'll go to settings, then we'll go to deploy keys, add deploy key. Let's paste in that value. I'll just call this OpenClaw. Let's check, allow write access, and add this key. And I think that's it. So let's actually try this. The repo is currently empty. So let's say I just created the SSH deploy key. Please can you try to push your very first backup? All right, cool. So apparently the first backup was pushed. And if we refresh the repo, we can see a whole bunch of files were added. So we've got the OpenClaw folder, which contains the workspace state, memory, the agent's file, heartbeat, identity, soul, and everything else. And I mean, you can ask the agent to include anything you want. And then finally, I do want this to run automatically on a daily basis. So let's do this. It worked. Thank you very much. We need to run this backup every day at midnight. So every day, you should collect all the changes that were made during that day and automatically update GitHub. Is this possible? And done. So at midnight, my time, every night, all the changes for that day will automatically be pushed to GitHub. Did you find this video useful? If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And also consider joining my community, Agentic Labs. This is where we stay up to date with everything related to building AI solutions. We've got a vibrant community of like-minded people who are sharing ideas and helping each other. We've also started weekly Q&A sessions, with the very first session starting today. We also have several classrooms where you can learn cool technologies like N8N and Claude Code and a lot more. And I also added a new classroom called The Lab. This is where you get behind-the-scenes access to all the research and the work that I'm doing outside of YouTube. And you get access to all of this for only $7 a month, which is an absolute steal. So I do hope to see you in the community. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.